reached out to him because I was like, I needed one restaurant to go in Nashville at least. And I got my buddy out there who brews beer.
Yeah.
So I was like, I got to take him out somewhere. So I'm going to eat there, and then I'm gonna do the podcast.
Very cool.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. It's like I've had the whole family on here. You know, everybody's been on here.
Yeah.
Great. So 2 years there, you go to the beach, and then what are you deciding then?
Then it was like, I was getting kind of homesick. California was very far from Tennessee.
Yeah.
So I wanted to come back to the East Coast. They were very open. Baxter was still at Husk. He was very open. You know, he was like, come back, you can figure it out. So I came back to Husk, stayed there for like another year, and then talked to Sean. And I was like, you know, just contemplating my next move. And, you know, he was like, I got something big working. Why don't you move to Charleston? And this was like 2016. I'm like, all right, you know, I'll move to Charleston, work in McCrady's. Who doesn't want to work in McCrady's, right?
Yeah.
Like the utopia of like Sean Brock's career.
Yeah.
So moved to Charleston. I work at McCrady's, and 6 months later, he drops the news on the world that he's taking McCrady's, the restaurant, dividing it up into two. Now he's got two concepts. And to me, when we were there, he was like, I want you to work at the counter, work with a 16-course tasting menu, and like really start taking your career like where you want it to go.
Yeah.
So I got to do that for 2 years.
That's so dope.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Got to be a junior sous at McCrady's, the tasting menu. Got to really learn like the complexity of how to build a tasting menu. You know, when I was at Husk, it was like, oh, we would do these tasting menus for chefs, but it was just like give them everything.
Yeah.
Right? You never really learned how to layer and balance the whole meal. You would just like kind of just crush people.
Yeah.
And then at McCrady's, you know, really started to learn like, okay, these bites are important because they kind of center you or bring you back. You know, you don't want to just crush everybody with the most intensified, like umami flavored dish every single course, because by the end of it, you're just exhausted.
Yeah.
So you need little breaks in the meal, like subtle breaks. Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. And how deep in the conversation is Sean in that restaurant? Like, is he just letting you sort of go, or is he like, I need this on the menu, I want this on the menu, ingredient-wise?
You know, I don't think I was ever really privy to that conversation. Mm-hmm. That was probably all John Sleesman, who was a CDC at the time.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so also one of the best chefs I've ever worked with.
Yeah.
The way he thought about food was very methodical. It helped me with, like, how I think about food. Every detail was never overlooked, right? Like, you just had to understand why that ingredient was on the plate the way it was to make that dish work. And if you changed it subtly, then it was a different dish. So, and I think that stems from Sean as well. You know, he's very methodical, very like on top of like the philosophy of the dish. Like, just knows the inner workings of every single bite and what it does. And it's crazy.
Yeah. Whoa. So, how long was your tenure there at that place?
About 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And then I actually met my fiance there.
Okay.
She was a server at the tavern part of McCrady's.
Yeah. Okay.
And then we kind of decided we were done with Charleston. She'd been there for 5 years.
Yeah.
You know, I was only there for 2, but, you know, Charleston's such a small city, there's really not a lot going on.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much, you know, you could do Charleston in one day.
Yeah.
Right? You can eat at great restaurants, you can see the art, but then after that, there's not really much going on.
Okay.
So we were kind of done. Our time was spent. Then we were like, you know, let's move to New York. That's closer to home for her. So I was like, I've never been to New York, but who doesn't want to be a chef or a cook in New York, right? So it was an easy choice for me.
Gotcha.
So we moved to New York in 2017.
The pinnacle.
Yeah.
How was leaving? Was it hard? Was it like time to go? It was
time.
Yeah.
Yeah. At this time, this was peak Sean, you know, like he was about to step away to go to the Meadows.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so you could tell there was an odd shift in the restaurant. And yeah, for me, it was like doing the same thing every day. You know, the repetitions were great, but I needed something new. I needed just something that was not Sean Brock, right?
Gotcha, yeah.
At this point, I'd been working for him for 5 years, 6 years, so I just needed something else in my life. I needed to find something new. So we moved to New York. I did some stages around. I staged at Co. Gunter Seeger. Loved staging with Gunter Seeger.
Awesome.
Wish I could have worked there. Just at the time, I needed I needed to make money, and there wasn't enough of it at that
Who's
restaurant.
the chef there at the time?
Gunter Seeger.
Okay. Oh shit.
Yeah. No, yeah, it was his namesake, dude. It was sick. I've never been in a restaurant where the chef owner was the one cooking every single dish. Like, it was crazy. You showed up, he'd already been to the market, he'd already planned the menu with everybody, and then all these guys are like prepping. It's a small team, it's like 4 or 5 people. They were prepping everything, and then when it comes to service, he had his hand on every single ingredient before it touched the plate. It was amazing to watch. And Gunter Seeger's like a little older now. He's probably like in his 60s.
Yeah.
So to see this guy just like moving around, like still fucking grinding with all these cooks. It was amazing.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So you staged there.
Yep.
And where else did you stage?
Staged at Co. Staged at Jesus, can't even remember now. It's been so long.
Yeah. It's such a blur sometimes. You're like, man, it'll come back at some point. You'll be like, oh yeah, I staged there.
yeah, exactly, right.
Did you have any homies in New York City at the time? Maybe that had worked at McCrady's and moved up there?
Here and there.
Yeah. Did you work with Hugo?
I did.
Yeah?
I did work with Hugo.
Awesome, bro. Yeah, shout out to Hugo.
Yeah, Hugo, he's the best, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
He's out there at Lumi.
Yeah.
Making it a better place every day.
Yeah.
All right? Don't be hating out there.
Yeah. So when I moved there, he was there. He was the CDC at Atla.
Yeah.
The sister restaurant at Cosme. And I almost worked there too, because I was trying to figure things out and I just needed something at the time. But then I ended up taking a CDC role at this place called Little King.
Yeah.
And then a couple of years later, I was the executive chef. And then a couple of years after that, opened up another place for them. So I ended up being an executive chef for 2 restaurants in New York, in Brooklyn, and then kind of got burnt out.
Okay.
It was a lot. I mean, I was 25, 26, running 2 restaurants, and it was a lot.
Yeah.
Trying to travel between both restaurants, trying to handle the stress of being the guy, trying to handle the stress of the investors, wanting something different than what you wanted. When you're a chef, you have a vision.
Yeah.
And then you start having all these investors, and then they don't share the same vision. It made me realize how important it was to when you take on people to invest into your projects. It's very important you're all on the same page. You have the same goal, the same vision.
Yeah.
Because when you start wavering, that's when things start getting cloudy, and then decisions start being made, and it's just not fun anymore.
Mm-hmm. Was it easy to find cooks at that time?
It was, I want to say it was okay.
Yeah.
It wasn't hard.
Yeah.
I mean, the talent pool in New York is so high, but it's so rare because everybody that's talented is already somewhere.
Got you.
Yeah.
Heard that. Is there a lot of, I don't have an experience working in New York. Is there a lot of those resumes where it's 6 months here, 6 months there,
Very.
Yeah. That's what I figured.
Yeah.
I figured, the guys who don't make it at those great restaurants.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy. So, when do you decide to leave this thing?
This was 2019. Sean texted me out of the blue.
Okay.
Just asked me if I was homesick, and it was right around the time I was really feeling burnt out.
Yeah.
I was really contemplating stepping away from these restaurants, and it was just perfect timing. He's like, "Are you homesick?" I was like, "Man, you know what? I kind of am."
Sean, you're the best, bro.
It's good timing. Yeah. You're great.
Yeah. You knew it.
Yeah.
You knew it.
Yeah.
Did you keep in contact with him that whole time?
Not here and there.
Gotcha.
It was he had a lot of things going on. Chef's Table came out, he just had his baby.
Yeah.
So, they were like, hey, congratulations, baby looks happy, healthy, he's beautiful. Chef's Table just came out. It's a beautiful episode.
It really is, yeah.
The book came out. All these things were happening for him. So it was just a lot of hey, congratulations. And, just seeing his lifestyle now, especially at that time, was, you are really changing as a person, and it's amazing to see.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Wow. So you come back.
Mm-hmm.
And where are you coming back to? Just so I'm correct. Charleston?
Nashville.
Nashville. Okay,
Yeah.
got you. So you come back to Nashville, and what's the plan?
Plan was this restaurant.
Okay.
To be the CDC of this restaurant. I signed up for this project in the summer of 2019.
Heard.
I ended up moving down here March 1st, 2020.
Okay.
Which is the day that the tornado hit.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Okay.
So my flight landed like 6 hours after the tornado hit Nashville.
No way.
Yeah. So I was in New York the night before, saw everything on the news, like unfolding. I'm like, I don't think I'm going to Nashville today.
Yeah.
But I went to the airport and they're like, nope, your flight's still going. So I was like, all right, we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, United's like, yeah, we all have our fingers crossed, and that should be enough.
Exactly.
Go ahead, board the plane.
Yeah. So I get down here, it's just chaos, man. It's a wreck. East Nashville got hit so hard.
Yeah.
And then my first day was March 15th, 2020. And
and
March
then the
15th,
next
day was, morning of, like,
Yeah.
hey, everybody stay home.
Yeah.
And,
C Day.
yeah, exactly.
Fucking, that was crazy.
Yeah.
So that happens, and then what are you thinking about?
Man, it was just...
What is Sean thinking about? I'm going to open this fucking restaurant, now there's this.
Yeah. There's no way to really tell what he was thinking about and what he was taking on, but I imagine it being something like, oh my God, I brought all these people in, because at the time, Jason White was here, Matt Daly, Joshua Lanning, like all these people that came from Single Thread, EMP, Noma to work at this restaurant, and then he has to now tell them they all have to stay home, and then soon he's like, I really need to start thinking about how can I keep paying these guys, but they're not doing any like real work because the restaurant's not open. The restaurant was still under construction.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask you next. Was it built before you got here?
No. They were still in the process.
So that part of the design, all that was set before you guys got here. Okay, gotcha. And how did it feel to be a CDC of those cooks?
Man,
was that a hard thing?
It was,
because that's a lot of talent. That's a lot of It's
very intimidating. Like, I've never personally worked at a Michelin star restaurant.
Yeah,
like one that was labeled as a Michelin star. So to have these 3-star, 2-star chefs like standing right next to you, like you're like, how am I the guy that's in charge of it? And it really fucked with me in the first few months. Like, man, who am I to tell them that they're not doing something right?
Yeah,
it took a lot of time to build up the self-confidence and courage to say these things and be who I am today.
Yeah.
And I don't actually think that would have happened if it wasn't for the pandemic. Unfortunately, the pandemic allowed me to do a lot of self-reflecting.
Yeah.
And just looking in the mirror and saying, you know what? I am shoulder to shoulder with these guys. I'm supposed to be here. Yeah. And now, my leadership style and my cooking style reflects that. Like, I know I'm supposed to be here. I know I'm supposed to be doing it, and I am doing it.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude. You're looking in the mirror, Ric Flairing yourself.
Yeah, exactly right.
If you want to be the man, you gotta beat the man.
Exactly.
That's awesome. I mean, everybody needs to. I look at myself in the mirror every morning, and I'm like, you fucking piece of shit. Yeah. I love you. Like, do it, baby.
Yeah.
Make your dreams come true.
Yeah.
Awesome. And this whole time you're with your girl?
Yeah.
Okay. So, when you gonna propose, bro?
Oh, I did that December 28th.
Oh, dope. Okay.
Last year. Yeah.
Hey, good for you. When's the wedding?
So we're shooting for something in the fall of 2022.
Okay.
Hopefully, when COVID kind of settles down, maybe we can actually get people that want to travel.
Yeah.
Be together. So.
What's crazy? I just got ordained. So.
Oh.
Just
sick.
saying.
All right, cool, yeah.
I don't know if after she listens to this podcast, she's going to be like, yeah, that's the guy who I want to marry us. Yeah, he's fucking can't even talk. Okay. Wow, that's crazy. Yeah. Okay, so you come back, you're the chef of these people, you get that confidence, and are any of those guys still here?
Unfortunately, no.
Okay.
It was... this restaurant didn't open until 15 days ago, October 25th, 2021. It was a long time for these guys to be sticking around. They needed to do.
They're so talented. They probably had other offers and choices.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
And they had spouses.
Yeah.
For them, they weren't really working. We were working, but for everybody else in the world, we were fortunate. Sean kept us busy.
Yeah.
But for our spouses, they weren't doing too much and that can really fuck with you. If you're at home all day and your spouse is still working the 60, 80-hour weeks or whatever it is.
Yeah, you're by yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they had to make some tough decisions. Unfortunately, it was, going away and doing something that they needed to do.
Yeah. Yeah. Very cool. And how's the hiring process been thus far, like before the opening?